Welcome to the StockMiner.com studios here in the Black Hills of South Dakota. I'm your stock miner, Brian Johnson. I'm making professional trading simple. And it looks like we have obviously another update today. And just as I had been telling you for, I don't know, last few weeks, that if we could break 1075 and then 1080, there's just, maybe a little bit of pause at 1085, but 1100 was pretty close to a certainty, or at least close to the 1100 area on the S&P. 1075 and 1080 proved to be very, very strong resistance. But once we got above that, you can see now that we closed the day at about 1096.5. Close enough for me. You'll see a lot of people front running this. I'm not saying we still can't hit 1100. My trading buddy Dave actually said 1109 for a target for himself. So I'll put his predictions out there and see where they lie. But 1100, I thought for sure, yeah, we could certainly see that. So what's the big story? Well, everything's up about a 0.5% today, except for the Nasdaq, which was lagging. Very interesting to see the Nasdaq lagging. It is usually a leading indicator, and that could mean lower prices ahead for the S&P and the Dow, if that holds true. We're all waiting, of course, for the Goog results, which actually I think have already been released. And at one point, Google was up $12, and now it's up about $6. So that could all change by the morning. I see this happen quite a bit with Google, where it'll be up $12, and then later on it'll be up about $4, but then by the morning it's back up about 12, $15 again. Um, it'll be interesting to see what the Nasdaq does, though. Like for instance, the futures right now they're not going anywhere. Matter of fact, they're pretty much break even, which is very odd. So, of course, that makes me want to look at other type tech stocks, and guess what? Apple's down 32 cents right now. So Goog must have hit earnings, must have done well, must have reported well because it's up in the after hours, 1-2%. And Apple is nowhere. It's basically down right now. RIM is up 11 cents. So some of the bigger techs are not following the Google earnings. And as I said, the NASDAQ futures are not climbing up. They're up 1 point right now, but not what you would expect. For instance, when Intel beat, NASDAQ was up almost immediately, 16 points, pow, just like that. And then eventually I think it was up 18 or 20 come the open the next day, something like that. We're not seeing that same result from Google. So a very interesting item to kind of for you guys to chew on. Keep that in mind and watch that into tomorrow morning. Now, obviously, it's right after close. Google just reported things are still trying to figure themselves out. We could trend higher all night long in the Nasdaq and end up, opening tomorrow 12 points up. But for the time being, it's interesting not to see that instant pop, which is what most people are looking for, and which is what most of the traders are immediately looking at. Google's back up back up to $10, so I think that's where it's going to end up. Kind of bouncing around for the remainder of the night. Probably start the day between $10 and $15 up. But watch Apple and some of the other techs to see where they start the day. That'll be of interest to see where maybe we end up tomorrow. Now, I did make a bold prediction. I don't like making predictions, but I made a bold prediction a few days ago that if Intel reported and went up, Google reported and went up. Now, Apple reports on Monday. So, uh, I said a few days ago that if Google reports now and it goes up overnight, that I think Apple might actually report, it might end up down. As crazy as that sounds. Um, don't go out and sell all of your Apple, please, on Monday. Manage it the way you want to, play it the way you want to. I'm just a total hunch here. There's nothing technical in that at all. It's total crystal ball stuff. So please, I'm just throwing that out there. It's my hunch that we may. I mean, there's certainly a possibility. Well, there's always a possibility anything will happen, that things will go up or things will go down. But I think there's a distinct possibility that when Apple reports, we might not see any kind of a pop in the broader markets at all. Apple maybe goes up a little bit. I mean, we're all looking for that big 200 mark on Apple, but it has not been able to hold or even get over the 192 mark as of yet. So it'll be fun to watch Apple's earnings reports on Monday. Kind of pumped for that now that we've seen what Google did. All right, let's break into the markets. Get after this here. On the Dow 60 minute, you can see another close above 10,000. Strong, bullish. It's good for the Dow to see two finishes over 10,000. That might bring, especially with Google earnings, maybe that brings more money to the yard tomorrow. The bears are certainly going to want to not allow this thing to get up and above this trend line, which is where the S&P is now. Once we get there, I'll show you here. But the Dow is closing in on its upper trend line here as well. The bears are not going to want to see this thing get up and over it. That would be very bad for the bears if you're bearish at all in this market right here, this big run up. NASDAQ on a 60 minute. This is the lagger. Can you see how it never really got back up here to that 1755 mark? I made mention yesterday that it closed about 1755 but sold off hard in the after hours. That's where it ended up here this morning. And then started a run towards the end of the day, I think, with Google, anticipation of Google and anticipation of maybe Apple moving up coming into Monday's earnings, but it never made it even back to this break-even area. So it's certainly going to need some help. Up and over 1755 though is going to be a very defensible long on maybe the Qs or however you want to play it. Kind of up to you. The futures if you're a futures person. But a break over the 1755 should get a lot of bears covering, and that might help accelerate some buying to the upside on the NASDAQ. On a daily time frame, still right below that dotted trend line. So, all you bears, it's something to hold on to, I guess. Here's what's not good is that we're up over this support line for the second day in a row, and it's holding pretty well right here so far. We are below this dotted trend line, so any break up and over that 1755 area, especially 1760 on a daily time frame, puts you back into and over this dotted line and into this rising wedge that we've been watching for quite a while. Or could be just a channel. See how this channel line down here kind of matches up with this one up here. So still a lot to look at here. The bears have really got to pull this thing back down. If they're going to see a move back down in the markets, that's certainly something you want to be watching and hoping for if you're a bear in the near future. On a weekly time frame, still very bullish. We're into Thursday already. We've only got 1 day left. 1773 is a 61.8% retrace of this entire market that we've had. Techs have just been so strong up to this point. And above that is this resistance area here, but much above this, and this could make for a very bullish future for the markets if we get a couple closes up around this area here on a weekly time frame. SPX on a 60 minute. 1096.56, there you have it, and just another strong move to the upside. These bulls will not be denied.